Hey there, everybody. Daver here. Welcome to the show. And don't you forget to drop that like button, power bomb that subscribe button, and leave a little comment. We want to know what you're thinking. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty of the mother of all SIMOCAST, Dynamite on TBS and Max. Yeah, like I said in the intro, I'm so excited by the Pointer Sisters. Really gave me a weird feeling. But once we got past that, we had Okada entering the building. Then we got a Jon Moxley promo. He says Marina Shafir took a bullet. He carried the company during a pandemic. He will melt down the title before and throw it in the ocean before he lets anyone get their hands on it. Yeah, blah blah blah, more stuff. People don't deserve it. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. His promos aren't doing it for me. A lot of talking, whole lot of talking.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, I was just gonna say I liked the one bit where he was like, "I carried us through a pandemic." I liked that one bit, but it's like everything else was just. It feels like how we make fun of FTR promos. It feels like the heel FTR where they're like, "We're top guys, and no one else can be top guys like us," and it just kind of is droning after a while.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about it, Chad?
I almost get Bray Wyatt vibes when he would say a lot of stuff in his promos without ever saying anything, and you're always like, "Ooh."
Yeah,
Like,
like the worst Bray Wyatt years where you're like, I don't know what you just said.
yeah,
How does this build a match? Like,
yeah, yeah. It's very like just talking in circles, more of the same, and it's unfortunate. Like, always Moxley was always like my guy for the longest time, and now I'm just like pass.
yeah, I like even in WWE, he was so naturally over for like a nice hot minute, and that was all WWE's fault for not capitalizing on him. So he always had that like, oh, if only he just got his creative control and only this and only that. And now we're in it. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready for like I want Jeff Jarrett to end this. I want
Yeah,
like you literally you pick a name that they threw out tonight. I'm like, yeah, Roderick Strong, sure, whatever. Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Death Riders aren't doing it for me. Um, Copeland being involved made it a little more interesting for me, a little bit. Only because he's
Who's
been gone for so long.
Copeland?
I can't cope with the name change. Oh,
Oh,
did it.
oh.
He did it.
oh,
I will.
yeah,
We'll get to that. I think it's kind of silly and stupid. Like it's one thing, right? If he was like when he's getting amped up, he's like, "You got Cope coming after you," right? But Justin Roberts still went Adam Copeland, and it still said on the graphics Adam Copeland. I don't think I'd care because I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a neat little nickname, right?" But he's making Justin Roberts call him
Yeah.
it. He's making him put it on the screen, and I'm like, "Oh, that's
We we all know that one guy that tries to give themselves a nickname, and that's how it comes off. Like,
yeah."
you can't be Buzzsaw. You gave yourself that nickname.
Yeah, it's just not working. But I think literally there's a video made about last year with Adam Copeland talking to Renee Paquette, and he said something like, "I want to work with Mox, and I want to build it as Cope v Mox," and it's like, oh, so that's how we got there. Okay,
yeah, yeah. I know that interview you're talking about. But yeah, we got a Moxley promo. Then we got a Cope FTR promo. Uh, let's see. Cope says he saw fear in Moxley at World's End, and he's sicker than Jon Moxley. Ooh. Uh, then we jump into our first match: Orange Cassidy versus Hangman Page. I was kind of excited for this. I think Orange Cassidy's kind of risen a little bit in the card in the past month or two, especially
Right.
facing Moxley, being in what, 2 pay-per-view main events.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Apparently, it
he's
was the first time they've ever fought in a singles match too, which is kind of crazy to think about. Both being like AEW originals.
yeah. But yeah, I think Orange Cassidy has proven himself to be maybe not tippy top of the card, but lower top of the card.
Yeah,
um, yeah, I've been enjoying his work. A lot of people can't stand him, like his gimmick, his doesn't try hard, like blah blah blah. I think it's pretty hilarious, but
Yeah.
nowadays he's more just like violent and gets to the point. He doesn't really mess around with that. He does the hands in the pockets and the slow kick, but he just starts, wailing on him anyway.
yeah.
So yeah, I think he's a lot more intense, a lot more violent now than he used to be. So then we got Hangman, um, both coming off their 4-way match at World's End. They did a really cool sequence in the beginning where they uh each tried their like 2 biggest finishers, and they countered, got out of it, orange punch, beach break, dead eye, buckshot. That was pretty cool. I like how they pulled that off. I did see a Book Athena sign in the
Ah,
crowd during this match. I
They are booking her. She's on Ring of Honor, and you just have to pay a little. I'm kidding. Yeah, I book her.
Yeah.
That means book her on AEW, the big television show, not the one on the
yeah.
streaming service.
Yeah.
She's the best. Put her where the best wrestle.
Hmm. But yeah, Paige pretty much has control for most of the match. Orange Cassidy makes a comeback. Despite 3 orange punches, Paige hits a buckshot lariat, basically no selling 3 orange punches um, for the win. Then he gives Orange Cassidy 2 dead eyes, and Christopher Daniels comes out. The referees try to stop him. Finally, they're trying to stop a heel, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah, it never have like right before the beating gets too bad.
Yeah. Um, Paige ends up decking Christopher Daniels, tells him to stay out of his business. Yeah, fun match, good stuff. I hope they're not trying to build to a Christopher Daniels Hangman feud.
I kind of
And
thought
something,
just because they were right next to each other on Saturday, it's setting up Hangman and Omega, which would be like a nice like welcome back Kenny and fight this evil Hangman now. Let's see how
Right.
you do it. And
ooh,
Hangman, like it's kind of like what just happened with the New Day, where Hangman could be like, "Where were you when Swerve was doing XYZ to my family?" And he was like, "I was dying, bro." Like, so that like I'd be interested in that as like a warm up feud, and then Kenny
Yeah.
can move on to
No,
big
that
new
could be that could be
matches.
brutal and personal. That'd be a pretty excellent.
I can't wait, Chandler, for you to eventually one day get to watch the Hangman Kenny tag team saga. Oh, it was good. It was real
Hmm.
good. Um, but yeah, like I said, good match. I enjoyed it. I like Orange Cassidy, and I will watch anything Hangman Page is doing. So can't really put it down. How about you, Chandler?
I thought this was a fine match. It was a little odd because they both just lost the pay per view, but maybe they were just wanting like a. It felt like they just wanted an AEW Originals match to start the show off, and I thought it was a really nice touch. Obviously, as a big Hangman fan, I was glad to see Hangman win. And I think it meant a lot that he got to have the first win on this simulcast era. I hate talking like that, but it is kind of true. Like, this is kind of a big moment, a big dynamite. And this was like the only match I think on the card that wasn't with like a lot of ex WWE guys, except for obviously the women's match, which was I kind of liked that. So it wasn't the greatest match ever, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good way to kick it off. The match itself, it was kind of, you throw those two guys on the ring, like 3.5 stars is kind of their bare minimum. Like they'll put on a good match in their sleep, like those. So it was good, and it was kind of a fun way to get some closure from the from World's End and sort of carry the story forward. So yeah, I thought it was a good call.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm enjoying Orange Cassidy moving up on the card and getting that shine. Uh yeah, a lot of people give him shit and don't really like his gimmick, and even old JR like couldn't understand it at first, but he's done some interviews where like I've come around, and he like really comes to enjoy Orange Cassidy. So I did from day one. I thought it was cool, all the stuff he did
Yeah.
with his hands in his pockets and just like didn't give a shit. Like it's like that's like kind of badass actually.
I
Like the
think I
stuff
think
with
Orange
Pac.
Cassidy, he's got his time and place. I think there was a time where I really wasn't into him, but I think it was just because like he was the forever international champ and he wasn't doing anything interesting with it. So I was like, I'm kind of like over this guy. Like I want, and then like Roddy beat him, and then it seemed like they were doing more interesting stuff with like the Trent story wasn't the best, but at least there was some interesting stuff like the Don Callis stuff and all that. And then I'd especially say with this Moxley feud, it wasn't great. Obviously, I had my issues with it, but at least Orange Cassidy did well. I thought like I liked Orange Cassidy throughout the feud.